Hey guys, Marcinkin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so tomorrow we have the release of the EZA for the physical LR androids. We will be getting, of course, an Extreme Z battle. Being an LR, it will be a 10-stage Extreme Z battle, you know, the better version. Well, maybe one day, if we're lucky, they'll turn all of those 30-stage EZAs into 10-stage ones. Unlikely, I'm sure, but, you know, we can dream. So there's no wiki page up for the EZA yet, but thanks to the data download, we do know that the weakness category is Mastered Evolution. And so, as always, with an LR Extreme Z battle, what that means is the special category, those are the units that you want to bring because those are the units that are going to be able to defend well against the boss, right? Any non-Mastered Evolution characters will take a lot of extra damage from the androids in this chain battle, but then being an LR EZA, you also want to try and maximize usage of the legendary power link because that will enable you to do more damage. Now, I've said this in pretty much every LR EZA team building guide, it is absolutely possible to beat all 10 stages of one of these LR EZAs with a full TUR team. I have done it before. I think we did one of them on stream just for the sake of like showing that it can be done. It takes a bit longer because the legendary power link allows you to do more damage, but as long as you're running a Mastered Evolution team, it is absolutely doable. So we're going to be taking a look at the Mastered Evolution category here in a second. Remember, being an LR EZA, 10 stages, you'll get 3 stones per stage, so we still get 30 overall. LR EZAs always have a mission. It's always the same one for every LR one. I mean, the normal EZA 30-stage ones are the same too, right? They're normally time-based. But this one will be for being stage 7 will give you 3 stones, so it'll be 33 stones in total. You get all the medals you need. You also get 5 Kais, so you can immediately put them up to SA 25. So you basically have everything you need so that they'll be fully EZA'd and good to go. So here is the Mastered Evolution category. It's definitely a much smaller category than some of the other ones, so this is certainly going to be an interesting event for a lot of people. But as always with my team building guides, we're going to go through my top picks and honorable mentions. If there's any units that you think I missed out or I should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comment section. So starting off here, you can see we have a few different leaders that are available to use. Now, right off the bat, considering this is coming out on both versions at the same time, obviously JP will have the option to use the Tech Super Trunks as the lead. It's kind of funny that he has already returned on JP now with the Android 21 banner, but is still not out on Global. Because realistically, for running a full Mastered Evolution team, he is going to be the best choice for the lead, because not only does he have the 170 lead for the whole category, but then Rapid Growth or Earthbred Fighters are his plus 30%, which means any Gokus or Gohans and that will be getting his full 200% leader skill. So if you're on JP, Trunks, despite being a TUR, is probably going to be the best option. I mean, EZAs are never the toughest in terms of events. They don't have things like AoEs and stuff like that. So this Trunks, ideally you'd want to run him for his leader skill and then just be floating him and trying to have your main rotations have as many LRs as possible so you can get that legendary power link. So regardless of what you think of Super Trunks in terms of how good he is overall and like compared to other Dokkan Fest exclusives and stuff like that, he absolutely will be one of the better leaders to run for this Extreme Z battle, right? Next up we have, of course, the Int Resurrection of F Blues. I probably wouldn't recommend running them because they're type disadvantage for a start, but I mean, they do have Mastered Evolution, and then Pure Saiyans is the extra 30%. I mean, you absolutely will be able to beat this whole EZA using them as your lead, even double leads, right? You could get unfortunate and them eat a super in the later stages, and then they will take a lot of damage, but you absolutely could get away with using them. I just don't think they are going to be the best option, right? And just like Trunks, if you're running any TURs on the team, especially if you're running them as the leader, one of the best options is just going to be to float them so you can keep LRs on the rotation as much as possible. And the same goes for this boy right here, the STR Super Vegeta, the original Mastered Evolution lead, I believe. Only a full 170 and only 130 to HP, but he does at least have type advantage. And with Extreme Z battles not being the most difficult, you will be able to make the use of his full passive by putting him in slot 1 so that he gets hit, gets a bunch of extra attack. But again, being a TUR, probably don't want to keep him on rotation unless you just don't have a lot of LRs for this category. and can't get legendary power active very often. Although one thing I will say, there are going to be certain LRs in the game, like for example Bulma, the GT duo from the 8th year anniversary. Like there are going to be certain STR LRs that are very, very powerful, that if they fit under the leader skill of the team that you're running, you can just get away with bringing them on the team. And even though they will take a little bit of extra damage, some of those units that are very strong defensively will still be fine. Maybe when they, you know, taking a super in the final stage, they might take a lot of damage despite the type disadvantage because of that category buff. But, you know, you're probably going to be okay with some of those units on some of these other teams, right? Like, for example, Vegeta having pure Saiyans as one of his secondary leader skills, you could run the GT duo on his team, and they've got type advantage, they'll have legendary power, they have the revive potential. If, you know, you take big damage on turn 1 and then they come in on turn 2 and you're at low health, you can use the standby. Like, there's some things you can do to get around not having a lot of Mastered Evolution characters. But if we kind of, with these team building guides, if we just went through every single LR not on the category for every LR EZA, we'd be here all day, right? So we're trying to focus on Mastered Evolution. Vegeta, I think, would make a decent leader, but is probably one of the lower priority ones, because we've talked about the characters that actually have Mastered Evolution leader skills, but realistically I think one of the go-to leaders for this team, if you have him, is going to be the AGL Goku and Vegeta from the Worldwide Celebration that fuse into Vegito, because their leader skill, Battle of Fate, Future Saga, or Power Beyond Super Saiyan, obviously Power Beyond Super Saiyan is going to cover a lot, if not all, well, almost all of the Mastered Evolution characters that are Saiyans are on Power Beyond Super Saiyan, right? Because they're all using forms that are above Super Saiyan 1 for the most part. So they're going to be on here. Now, they won't get the full 200% unless they're Realm of Gods or Time Travelers, but there are a few Realm of Gods, like all the Super Saiyan Blues and stuff are on here. So you could definitely make a team with this guy as the lead. And he does have the super class sub lead as well. So again, they're a perfect example if you wanted to throw like Bulma on the team or something like that. Again, whilst you could be, I mean, I think with Bulma, especially if she gets enough orbs, she's probably not taking damage from supers and stuff anyway, right? But these guys absolutely will be the go-to leader. They can go in slot 1, they can dodge attacks. You're probably not going to get far enough into the event to see them fuse into Vegito, but they're going to be a great leader for the team, great slot 1 unit, and they're an LR, so they have legendary power, right? Then next up we have the LR Gods. They have Power Beyond Super Saiyan or Movie Heroes, which again, Power Beyond Super Saiyan covers a lot of these Mastered Evolution characters, and then any characters with Kamehameha get the extra 30%. So these guys can be very good. They guard on turn 1, they're building up their attack and defense, they get a lot of extra ki. They can just straightforward, they'll be very, very good. And if you do get to turn 4, then obviously you can transform into the Blue Boys, do a bunch of extra damage, disable an action on their 18 key super, dodge with Rainbow Orbs. Like, just a very, very strong option for the team, and another LR to get that legendary power link active. We also have the 8-year LR, the Boo Duo. They have Power of Wishes or Final Trump card. I'm not sure how easy it will be to put together a full Mastered Evolution team with their leader skill, but even if you're not using them as a leader, these guys will be very, very good on the team. It's one of those things, like I said earlier on, right? Extreme Z battles, not only are they not the hardest, but they don't have like AoEs and stuff like that, which, you know, these guys, they're going to get off a bunch of supers, they're going to stack up their defense because they're on the specialist category. Even if they get hit with a super, it's not like they're going to take crazy amounts of damage. So these guys are probably a go-to option for the team. Even if you can't use them as a leader, they are going to be very, very good on the team. Do loads of damage. They build up crit chance as they super as well. So, I mean, in the early, like, couple of stages, I wouldn't be surprised if you get good RNG with the additionals. These guys could just one turn the event, right, if they've got the legendary power link active. So definitely these guys are a go-to choice. And of course, if you do somehow take a ton of damage on turn 1 and then they're on turn 2, they can go into their standby. I mean, I guess you do have to wait until the next time they're on rotation to potentially launch the Spirit Bomb, but with them not attacking, I guess that could be a possibility, right? And then that would be kind of funny to actually end off the EZA with the Spirit Bomb, but these guys will definitely be very, very good. Then we have AGL LR Gohan. So he's on a couple of the teams we've mentioned already, right? Getting the full 200% leader skill. He is still a solid unit for some of these other events. You know, he might have aged a bit compared to the new hardest content in the game, but somewhere like here he's going to be fine. He's going to have guard as long as you're above the HP threshold. He keeps raising his defense with each of his super attacks. And then, of course, because you have an android enemy, technically you can get his transformation, but obviously it's like turn 5. So very unlikely you're going to be getting to turn 5, but you know, I mean, I guess technically it is possible. So it'd be kind of funny to see that as well, finishing them off with the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan transformation. But Gohan definitely a very solid option for the team. He also does have a Kamehameha leader skill, which covers quite a few of the units that we've talked about already. Otherwise, Super AGL, which can also cover some Mastered Evolution units that aren't on Kamehameha. So as a fallback, he could be a decent leader as well. So then we have one of the very few, I think he might actually be the only, is he the only extreme character on Mastered Evolution, apart from that Vegeta? Oh, yeah, there's a different Frieza who also goes golden, and then, yeah, all the other Friezas that go golden. So, yeah, basically, we have the LR golden Frieza. Now, the TUR ones, of course, you could bring to be strong defensive options, but they obviously don't do a lot of damage, and of course not going to have legendary power. So if you do have the LR Golden Frieza, he's going to be a great option to bring. He can sit in slot 1. In short events, he's still very, very powerful because he loses damage reduction over time, but the event is quite short, so he's basically never going to get to the point where he's going to be getting like one shot by a super, because even on turn 3 or 4, he's going to have plenty of damage reduction still left in the tank. So he'll be very good. Can get the additional super, as well as potential others as well. So he could just be a very solid unit, right? You stick him in slot 1, he tanks well, he gives another LR on the rotation legendary power, so his damage honestly isn't that bad either. So he's a go-to option for this team, I would say. Obviously you can't use him as a lead, really. In fact, I don't think any of the units we've talked about are on either of these, but he's a go-to pick for the team for sure. So then we have the LR Angel Vegeta. I thought I'd give this guy an honourable mention. We're still eagerly awaiting his EZA, right? Like, this is a unit that is now over 3 years old. I think his EZA could be really good. I've always liked this unit. He has the unit super with the, if you have a, Buu Saga Goku, yeah, and get the 18 key super. I mean, I don't think, there is actually one that we'll mention, I suppose, which running them together would be kind of a fun combo, but he is a, he's another LR, so it's kind of the main reason he gets the honourable mention, to be honest, just because he's another unit that can activate legendary power, and he has a unique name compared to a lot of the other units we've talked about, so he can fit in nicely on the team. If you've put your first 5 units in and you really don't know who to bring for the 6th one, he can definitely be a good filler option for that last slot, right? So now we're going to talk about some TURs, because we've basically gone through all the LRs on the category, apart from the INT Vegeta, right? Because he has type disadvantage. I mean, you can still get away with using him, I guess. And then like the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, because he's very outdated now. I mean, he could still do some damage, but his defense is going to be pretty bad. So we've gone through basically all of the LRs, so we only have a few of the TURs left. And like I said at the start, you can beat these LR EZAs with a full TUR team. It just takes longer because you don't get the damage buff. So Kaioken Goku, he can do some crazy amounts of damage. Because he has type advantage, you don't really need another Universe Survival Saga ally, because he doesn't need to guard. Although that does remove his chance to get an additional super from his passive. Obviously with no reps of Universe 7 allies, you're not going to be able to get the Spirit Bomb. But realistically, unless you drop below the HP threshold, like, you're just not going to see that anyway. So he could just be another unit you throw on the team. He fits under a bunch of the leader skills we've talked about. He's got type advantage. He's just kind of going to be there, right? If you have enough of a team build to have LRs on both main rotations, he's a character that you can just bring as a floating unit. We'll still be able to do some relatively decent damage whilst having some decent defense as well. Then we have this Super Saiyan 2 Goku that transforms into Super Saiyan 3. I thought I would mention him because I mean, obviously in his day, he was one of the best TURs. He can still put out some work in things like Extreme Z battles. And of course, he is a Martian Buu Saga Goku. So if you are running the Angel Vegeta, you can have him on rotation as one of your LRs. Have this guy floating, and then when he does float into slot 3 on that turn, he's going to give that Angel Vegeta his unit super. Otherwise, this guy can be pretty good, right? Like, he can get multiple supers. He can transform on turn 3 if you've lost a little bit of HP. Otherwise, if you get him on turn 3 and you don't transform, you're potentially not going to see turn 5 anyway, unless you're running a lot of TURs. But if you do get to transform into Super Saiyan 3 Goku, And obviously he does the extra attacks as well, can just hit incredibly hard. He can just be very, very good, right? Built-in crit chance, very strong TUR, so he's a good option for the team. Then we have a couple of Super Saiyan Vegetas. So there's this guy who's a Mastered Evolution sub-leader, if you really are lacking for leaders. He's just a Vegeta that you want to pick up a certain amount of orbs. He builds up over time. He's just kind of an okay unit. Like, he was all right on release. I wouldn't say he's aged, like, insanely well, but he can be a decent option. Because remember, EZAs, you can't use same name units, right? So we've got this guy. We've got this banner unit from Battle of Gods, who I think is probably the better option out of all the Super Saiyan Vegetas. He builds up after getting hit a few times. When he gets hit 3 times, he then gives everybody a buff for that turn and the next turn, which is quite useful. And then he does have the transformation, but it's like starting from turn 5. So probably not going to see this in the EZA. And then, of course, we have the other Super Saiyan Vegeta is the EZA one from the Cooler movie. He can be okay, greatly raises defense on Super. He has built-in crit, extra crit if there's a movie hero's ally in the same turn. He can just be overall like a solid unit, right? And if you're running a bunch of other Saiyans, especially if you've got your LRs in slot 1 and 2, this is just a guy that can come into slot 3, share some links with them, raise defense on Super, and be relatively safe in that 3rd slot. Then we have there's a couple of the blue Vegetas. I wanted to highlight 2 specifically. So we've got the AGL one, who is fully built around Mastered Evolution allies being on the team, and obviously we're running a full Mastered Evolution team. He gets extra crit and a crit chance when all allies in the same turn are Mastered Evolution, which obviously they will be. So he can be pretty decent, especially if you're running some of these other characters with the God links, like the Blue Boys, the LR Gods, like those kind of characters. Or there's the STR Blue Vegeta, and he is requiring all allies to be Realm of Gods, which, as I just said, right, if you're running the Blue Boys, you're running the LR Gods, like this guy can be pretty decent. If you're going to use him as a floater, though, obviously depending on your rotations, like if you're running the build where you have LR Golden Frieza in slot 1 on the other turn, then he's going to be missing out on this. So in those instances, you're obviously going to want to use this guy because the full team is Mastered Evolution. But if you're running mostly Realm of Gods characters, this guy will be really good as well. And then last but not least, I thought we'd throw in an honorable mention for the God of Destruction Topo. He's basically just here because he's a support unit, right? All allies key +1 attack and defense 40%. Has 40% damage reduction if you're at 70% or less HP, but even if you're not, he's type advantage, he's on the category, like, he should be okay, right? Like, maybe if he takes a super in stage 10, he might take a bit of damage, but potentially from full health, you're probably still living that anyway. So he's just there to provide a little bit of support. Again, if you're running the classic strategy of just having 2 LRs on both rotations, this guy flowing into slot 3 is obviously just giving them a bunch of extra support and making them hit that little bit harder and defend that little bit better. So yeah, there you go. You take a look at the category. Like I said, there's not exactly a ton of other great options. I mean, this Boo has always been good for EZAs because he has the built-in dodge and high defense for like the first few turns. He is also a Universe Survival Saga ally, so you could use him to get the Blue Kaioken passive, right, where he's getting the extra chance to super. Caulifla has like built-in dodge and can counter supers. Probably should have mentioned actually the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, because he, with his EZA, for something like an Extreme Z battle, he's definitely a solid unit, gets a bunch of extra attacks, so he could still actually be pretty good. You got like the Tech Nuka Vegeta and the Physical Nuka Goku, they could be relatively decent. Didn't really talk about the physical Blue Vegeta because I think the other 2 are just way better. There's also the Super Trunkses, like the STR one would be pretty decent, I guess. But yeah, all of the rest of these guys not particularly great. I suppose for JP, actually, you do have the EZA for the Physical Transforming Vegeta, and he could be quite useful. But for Global, we do not have that EZA yet, so I probably would not bother bringing him on the team. So yeah, there you go. Those are the top picks and honorable mentions for the LR Androids Extreme Z battle. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, if you think there's any units I missed out or should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comment section, and let us know what your team build for the Androids Extreme Z battle is going to look like. I will be streaming the EZA when it drops, and then we'll be recording the EZA level 10 link showcase as soon as we are done. So hopefully I will see you guys there. And yeah, let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.